I just want to welcome everybody to this workshop, Dictionary of More with Less, with Deborah, Rapoport, and Martina, Dietrich. I'm Ragna, I'm the director of New York Textile Month this year, and I welcome all of you and thank you for participating in our program this year. As you know, we have a very full program this month, and because of COVID, we decided to make most of them virtually, and already we see people joining us from all over the world, which is great, and we are very happy about that. But this New York Textile Month is our 5th Textile Month, and this is initiated by Lidway Edelcourt, who wanted to create a platform in New York to celebrate textiles 5 years ago, and this has been an annual event in the city, and now we have been expanding a bit globally because of COVID, so it's also giving us kind of a new dimension how to celebrate textiles. So we welcome all of you here. This is the first workshop with those amazing ladies, and they're going to do 3 every Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I feel I don't need to introduce them because both of them are celebrities in my eyes, Debra, Rapaport, and Martina, Dietrich. Debra is a stylist and a maker and designer and artist who is an expert in recycling with anything you can think of. Martina as well, she's a fashion designer from Germany who has been working in New York over the past years, and she is doing amazing and interesting things with recycled textiles as well. So I'm very happy to have them here with us every week, and I look forward to their workshop. And I encourage you, everybody, to look at our program, see what workshops, walk through exhibitions. There's many things that we have. Tomorrow we have a beautiful workshop with Kiva Motnik from Thompson Street Studio. She's going to teach natural dyes with marigold. And there's a workshop at the Mad Museum on Saturday. So please check out, it's textilemonth.nyc. So now I'm going to stop sharing the screen and give Debra and Martina the floor to start the workshop. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so hello everybody.
Welcome.
Welcome. Do we need to, all right. We all see here. So yeah, I think Deborah, you can introduce yourself a little bit more.
Okay, well, Ragna kind of did it. I'm a visual artist, and I work primarily with sustainable and found materials for the last 55 years. And I mostly make things for the body, whether you want to call them wearable art or art to wear, but they're embellishments. And I call them my ABCs. I assemble, I build, and I construct with color, texture, and layering. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Martina?
Yes, and I'm a fashion designer and work like one-of-a-kind pieces. Not only a fashion designer, also a maker. I make all the things, and the one-of-a-kind pieces are hands-on, and they're really just one-offs. Through all my time of studying this, I lived and worked as 10 years in Italy. Of course, studied in Germany, then back to Germany for a few years, and now here in New York, and making one-of-a-kind pieces, and making from all the scraps I have. I never throw it out because I think it's so important to keep it. Different kinds of things, which we will show you guys later. Now, we want to talk a little bit about why sustainability is so important, Deborah. What do you think?
Well, I mean, I think sustainability, it's pretty obvious. I mean, we're living in a time where there's so much surplus and so much is going in the landfill and climate change that I think we have to wake up, and it's not by accident that we're going through this coronavirus, because it's time to settle back and be more sustainable, more cautious, more respectful, and more creative. So let's do more with less and be unique and create your own trends.
Yes. And so I think it's time for fashion also to have a change. The whole fashion industry is already, it was already before the COVID, kind of like collapsing, because the fashion times, there were like 12 collections a year. Some companies had 24 collections, just crazy. And everything was getting more fast and more fast. And even if you want to have like a bikini in August, you have to get it actually in February because it gets delivered in February. But then when you want to have a real winter coat, you don't get it when it's really cold because it gets delivered in August. So everything was kind of like more quick, and the customer is kind of like overwhelmed following all this kind of circus. And now it's the time to take a moment and rethink, to get a new way of producing fashion and making fashion. So this is why we need a change, just to slow down and being more conscious about what we are doing and how we are doing it. So Deborah, what do you think is the most important in this time?
Well, I think if we curate our own closet and realize how much we already have, and then establish that you can mix and match with the things you have to create unique looks about it, and looks that are totally yours. And then just to really be conscious of what we're doing with plastic bags, with old clothes, with torn linens, with zero waste, leftover fabric. And that's what we're going to talk about, how we can cut stuff up, turn it into our own form of yarn, and reuse it and make things that are just unique to us. So really being conscious right now is very important.
Yes, and then also with this conscious, we have to rethink how we can redesign the whole industry, because most of the time, like the big companies, they're still gonna have big possibilities to keep on going, but the smaller companies, they are, thanks God, small enough to be flexible, and this is what we have to do right now: flexible and change and rethink, and actually innovate ourselves in a way of designing. And so this is also what we're going to do here, to show more and more different techniques, what we can do to make it a little bit different. And what we all can do is work from home. Of course, fashion now, we don't need these big offices anymore. We just be at home and start being creative. I think this is the way how to go.
And figure out what is really essential in our lives, both with clothing, with food, with our whole lifestyle, and really reevaluate. You know, do we need 3 cars? Do we need 2 homes? Do we need to go out and eat in restaurants every night? You know, yes, we need to support the industries and the businesses that are essential, but I think we have to reevaluate and get back to basics. You know, cooking at home like we used to. You know, we used to go to grandma's on Friday night or Sunday afternoon. So we may have to get back to doing things with family and friends.
Yes, to rethink. And I think also the whole way of, the new way of living is to integrate so many different things. Well, it has nothing to do with fashion. So it's just a new lifestyle that we become more aware about what is really essential to each single person. It's not just like, oh, in general, we have this trend, or we have this color this year because we wanna follow this trend. And now we have the moment that we have to create our own trend. What is our own trend, our own essentials for right now? What kind of food do you like? What kind of clothes you like, how you want to get dressed, and how authentic you want to be.
Right.
And is it possible to be authentic? Because now your job description even changed in the way of presenting yourself. Sorry for this. So is it important you have the formal jacket on and go to the office and go to the meetings? Now you have a Zoom call as we're doing it right now. So be more yourself, and either way, change your formal jacket. Probably you never really liked it, but now it's the time that you can probably take it off. Like, oh, I can also take off my jacket, which I actually made out of denim, old denim jeans. I can show it inside, outside. And here you see that was the pocket, and created just a new way of style and a new piece. So you can actually do this also with your formal jacket, to redo it in a different way and having much more fun and doing the job as you ever loved. And now we're gonna actually explain a little bit the dictionary.
So since we're calling this the Dictionary of More with Less, we've created a little dictionary, which will be available to all of you out there online. So we're calling it Dictionary of More with Less, and to recreate uniqueness. Okay, so
yes, and
how
so
to do it.
How to do it? We have to do more of merging fabric together, mending, meeting, even like meeting with people and friends, and then you do the mending, or with a glass of wine if you want, or without, and then matching, more actually maturing also fabrics and pieces. It's like with denim, you know, more time it is, more beautiful it becomes. Or then even maximizing, minimizing, to combine whatever fabric you find, you can combine it. And very important, of course, always the sustainable aspect, to have it.
And don't we talk about labor of love, that everything
Yes.
that you do, you're coming from that place of where you're adoring what you're doing. So that process just is healing. And right now we need healing more than anything. So that's why we're saying mending is a form of meditation. And that's the only way we're going to get quiet and healthy through this pandemic time.
Absolutely. And so how are we going to do it, Deborah?
Well, how we're going to do it, there are many ways to do it. Of course, it's very easy to take old fabric and twist it. So I say twisting is one way of doing it. You can do it with old leotards and old tights. You can do braiding, so you can take any kind of cloth, whether again, it's parts of an old t-shirt, and braid them, and then turn that, like our grandmothers used to do, the braided rugs, or turn it into a hat. To embroider, to take something, put pieces together, like my cuffs, and then just use large stitches to join them together. So that's joining with stitching. And then knotting, whether it's macrame or any other form of knotting, again, using large materials and making big hunky knots and turning that into something. And then piecing with scraps, which is like patchwork. And then repair, moth holes. So many people have moth holes in sweaters and jackets, and they want to throw it away. Mend it, embroider on top of it, add a patch, you know, whatever works. The same with old socks. And we're going to get into that in the third week about repairing. So that's how to do it. And of course, there are many, many other ways of how to do it.
How to do it. And of course, the biggest goal is the sustainability. We have to think about how we are able to be more sustainable. And of course, with this labor of love, when you love to do this, when you love to create something, you're not thinking about anything. So when you put in this passion, you make long-lasting pieces also, because you put your own heart in it, and it's beautiful. Whatever comes out, you can give it to your next generation or to friends, and they pass it on then to other friends, and to bring back this long-lasting pieces, to make one-of-a-kind pieces, really only one piece. We don't need the thousands of same pieces.
They're unique.
So the uniqueness is very important. And then when you make it in this unique way, it's very authentic because only you can do it this way as it is and as you make it. And so in this way also we use all the materials we still have when garments will be cutted, that we use the zero waste. It's such a bad situation, I have to say, and it's such a sad moment to think that how many tons of fabric will be thrown out in the landfill, just, you know, cutting around the garment, because the sleeve, we have some left over and all this fabric will be thrown out in the garbage, or even then companies are burning fabrics, leftovers, and even garments get burned. And it's just so sad to see. And I think each fabric and material is so worth it not to end up in the landfill. You know, we have to create something out of it and have more fun, and even can pass it on to someone.
But just taking the selvages or the waste or the leftover pieces, it's challenging. It's like asking yourself, how can I be creative? You know, it's too easy to go out and buy $300 a yard silk embroidered fabric, but to be challenged with what's left over and make something that's really stunning that nobody else is going to have. And like Martina said, it's all your heart and soul that's gone into it that makes it special. So it's just a matter of being aware and just really seeing how much waste there is in our environment everywhere, whether it's cardboard, whether it's fabric, whether it's food. It's all out there.
It's all out there. So
the last thing is fast fashion is gone. It's, you know, dwindling, and we have to wake up, and hopefully those in the industry will become more conscious. And we have to shop consciously. And then we feel like you got to go home and mend and have mending as your meditation, whatever form mending takes, whether it's embroidering, sewing, stitching, patching, make it a meditation.
Anything. So now we're going to show you meditation, and I was just starting this piece, which is silk, like a chiffon silk, very thin silk. Here you see a little bit bigger piece, which is very nice just to knit with it.
Was that leftover from a project, or was it?
It was leftover, yes,
or?
Leftover fabric, which I still had, and it was not enough to do anything out of it. Otherwise, just to cut the strips.
Okay.
And so it's easy to knit with it, and I knit it in a round way to have actually then the possibility. I'm just knitting right now one thing, and I'm going to show you how it will be, as I guess it will come out as a hat. And so it's the fun part when you try on your things you're doing, and then you have just
gorgeous
the hat, and you will be finished. I don't know now how I'm gonna finish it up.
So then it looks so great with the knitting needles, but we could take the knitting needles out and we can add beautiful branches,
yes,
and make your hat into a twiggy, interesting piece. So again, be creative and take what's around and use it and embellish.
Yes. And so this is one I did, and then lately also I started when the whole pandemic started, I was making a lot of masks, and of course from all this mask there were leftovers, and I created this kind of string which is from leftover the mask, which I have to cut off to make the mask, and then I just started also knitting with this one. Oops.
It's so beautifully thin. So thin.
Also this one, let me see if I can already try it on.
Yeah.
So I don't know where this will go, what kind of shape we're going to do, but probably on the next week I can show you where it will turn to.
The shape.
The shape.
Yeah.
And from knitting fabric also I made some of these ones, which is just actually a lining fabric, which is not very expensive. So I made this little, what is it called, Deborah?
Pom-pom?
Pom-pom,
Yeah.
Pom-pom.
A little embellishment.
Which
Yeah.
you can have fun on this
Yeah.
side or on that side. And then, you know, it depends how you want to style it. So more fun. And another one, which I did also in a different shades. And I crocheted together in the signature of my collection. The Martina Dietrich Couture is the orange, always the signature. And so this one you can also wear really high or put the things in, or even if you want and bring the, where is it? The orange in front, high, or where is it?
It's great. It's great.
So
you know.
This is what you can do
Endless
with
possibilities.
endless. And here's another one. It's just like also some chiffon fabric I had left over. And I'm just starting something and I don't know where it will go, but having fun for right now, knitting it. And so
And then is my hat knitted or crocheted?
no, it's crocheted.
Okay, so we're going to talk
later.
later. Good. Okay.
So now we're going to show how to finger knit.
Finger
actually.
knitting,
Deborah is
okay.
showing how to finger knit.
And this you can do with almost anything. Again, all the scraps of yarn. This is like cut up t-shirts. Cut up t-shirts are always wonderful because they're stretchy, they're strong. We usually have them with a lot of color or various print on them. And, you know, and then this is cotton knit fabric. So I often cut this up and use it in strips and make a ball of yarn out of that. Or things like this that I can get at,
Great.
yeah.
It's like a cotton ribbon.
Twill.
Yeah.
That you can get at thrift shops and stuff, and it's very strong. So that's what the one that I have on is made from. And then embellished with found metal, since I've always worked with found metal when I can find it. And then this one is made from an orange garbage bag that I cut up, and it's stuffed with some cotton waste that a friend of mine was making. My friend Yuta, she may be with us. She was making rugs 30 years ago, and she was e-cutting and tie-dyeing the warps. And after that, there was all these threads afterwards. And 30 years ago, she gave me a bag of it, and I just found it, so I used it for stuffing. And that's the thing I love about the finger knitting, is it's tubular, and you can do it on any scale, and then you can stuff it with anything you like. Like I've done them with fleece that I've gotten from sheep. This is cotton waste, which I think you can get in hardware stores. It's often used for cleaning, industrial cleaning. So you can stuff it with that. I also love stuffing things with lint from the dryer or steel wool. And some of you may remember a couple of years ago at Mad Museum, there was a whole show, and we did workshops on dirt, dust, and I forget the third word. So we used all kinds of materials like that, especially the lint from the dryer is wonderful to work with. Another material that's great to work with is, you know, just old seam binding.
Beautiful.
Which is great. I think it's getting harder to come by.
Yeah, but also it's a little bit elastic. It's nice to work with.
Because it's bias.
Yeah.
And, you know, usually you can get it in a lot of different colors. This happens to be gingham. And so very easily, the hardest part is starting, okay? And then I'm going to show you how you make a bobbin too, that all weavers do. So you start by making a slip knot loop. I can see it to get closer.
Yeah. See it better? Okay.
And then you start on the thumb. Now this is the hardest thing. You have to remember you're working on the inside of the hand, not back here. So you're looking at your palm the whole time. Then you wrap it around finger number 1, 2, 3, 4, and you come back to thumb. Okay. And you're always on the inside. So I'm on the inside of number 2, on the inside of number 3, on the inside like that. Then you pass the stitches over. So this is your first row of your tubular knitting. And it's the kind of thing that is so satisfying. You can do it on the bus, you can do it in front of the TV, and then you pull the stitch down. So again, we're in the middle, inside. You come around the thumb, around. Now I have to tie more on. So maybe we'll tie it on with another color.
Yes.
So you can change color, you can change texture, and you just do a slip knot.
So just,
okay, around. So you're going to the far side of the finger. Oops, what did I do here? I missed it. Missed it. Okay. Both those off. Okay, so then I come over the finger, over.
I think the beginning is the most hard part, right?
Yeah.
And
because you don't see anything happening. So again, always be sure you're in the middle of the hand, not outside. And I'm not going to go around the thumb this way. I'm going to go around the thumb this, so that you're constantly making it crisscross. You see how it crosses? It's so hard for me to see it in the,
yeah.
So it crosses.
Always over then.
Right.
Lift it always over
Right.
as you do it.
And then you're creating the new stitch.
With
the new
stitching,
loop.
yeah.
And then you keep pulling it down, and it begins to make this tubular form.
Now you do it in fast, that we see how it will come out.
How quickly it can grow.
You know, and how quickly Deborah can do this. Just in a second, we will have a necklace.
And of course, the larger the element, the material you're working with, then of course, the faster it'll go. Now, years ago, I did an entire piece using fish line monofilament, which was clear, and ended up stuffing all those monofilament tubes with with fleece that was naturally dyed. This is back in the 70s. And then then all those elongated elements were put together, and the piece was 10 feet by 10 feet, and it went to Lausanne, Switzerland for the Tapestry Biennale. And it was really a gorgeous piece because it was huge with all this naturally dyed fleece. I was living in a place where they were raising sheep, and my best friend was living at an arboretum in California, so we had access to every conceivable kind of plant. And we did naturally dyeing for weeks on end before we even started doing the construction. But this technique is so simple. You know, like I say, everything is as low tech as you can get, and you just let the creativity carry you.
And so, like in a little bit of time,
Yeah, that's it.
you can do a lot.
Yeah. And then to end it, you just have to bring the stitches over, or run another strand through.
But if there's interest, we also can show it then one by one. And
Yeah.
when people want to reach out, you can find us by email. It's not a big deal. We can show it better, or we can meet
Right, we can
and
meet.
have in the park like finger knitting moments.
Right. Okay, so then this can be stuffed just like I was doing here, just like this one is stuffed or not. And again, you can make them.
You want to add something. I was making this one to make fringe, is like knotted little pieces on, and then you have like a fun piece,
Right, that's
which
great.
you can add another layer.
Right, and this one, the same thing. It's a very thin red, and then loops added on just by going through and tying on.
Or you can also use some lace, which I did. some lace,
And
or
this is silk selvages, and you can see how fuzzy that gets and the change of color. And that's very cozy. That's even great to wear in the winter because it'll be warm.
warm, yes. Or then even you can make small pieces, put together and make a long chain then out of it. Or even use it as a bracelet, small ones, right?
Or it could even be just an amulet that you wear,
Here we
you
go.
know, on a chain.
On another one here.
So one could be the knotted element and the other one is the neck part.
It's the neck
right?
part. What else we have?
And then, for instance, this is stuffed with silk roving that you can get, or, you know, it's just, again, residue. And then you can allow some of that to reveal itself.
It's beautiful
So that,
fabric, this one. What is it?
there was an Indian cotton sari.
Oh, nice.
That a friend in one of the students in one of my classes had several of them, and she brought them. So it's very crisp, nice cotton.
Yes.
You see what happens when you start allowing it to work itself out, then you get an additional texture and more color. So that's finger knitting, and it's a world of possibility.
Yes, and now I'm also going to show how I crochet with actually plastic bags. So the first thing is to make a plastic bag in long strips, which it is the plastic bag mostly in a round tube, and then you just put it together, and so you have long things. So first of all, I want to show you the result, how you can do it. It's kind of like, oh my gosh, my hair. Anyway, so this can be a possibility to have a hat out of plastic bags. And also Deborah is wearing this one, which I crocheted out of plastic bags. And it was just fun. And actually this was just a rectangle. And you put it together, you fold it. And this one, if you can see, there's a pin in. If one day I don't like this shape anymore, I just redo. So this is like a big rectangle. And then I even can move it around and wear it in a different way. And so how we're gonna do this is just starting with one piece. And then you just keep going, and you will see the shape, how it will go. And then you just add another color, or, you know, another color. You can add, make stripes in it. So this one I collected, and was like the black plastic bag with the silver. You see the silver and the gold.
Fabulous.
And it's kind of like this, which I have here. So you just cut the plastic bag in the, so when the gold will come out. So I'm gonna show you how to do it. I just started this piece, and it's just crochet, very simple stitches with a big hook. You know, this is the biggest you can get, I think. I don't know what number it is. I have no idea. And so you just keep on going.
Crochet is so easy, right? It's
crochet is just loop in, make another loop. There's nothing in between. Just like go in, make one loop, and pull it through the other one. So you just keep on going, keep on going.
I guess there are YouTubes to be seen.
Oh, sure, it's easy.
Simple crochet.
It's easy. And then what I also did is this kind of bag. And I was in the beginning when I came here to New York, I had so many plastic bags, like the I love New York. And I was like, yes, I love New York, but I also love too much that I throw it out. So I was thinking what I'm going to do with it. And they were getting more and more and more. So I cut it up and I crocheted a new bag out of it. And this bag actually, and I make another one. So, which is like a transparent, so you get sometimes this transparent plastic bags. And actually this one is not just a bag, it also can be used as a hat. So I gotta show you how to wear the bag as a hat. So if you go to the store, then you just carry your bag on your head.
Everything's a hat.
And then you just go and put your grocery in here. And so you have a little bit fun during all this. And that's with the plastic bags. What you also can do is, or I did it actually with the salvage, what is the word?
Selvage.
Salvage
the edges of
the mesh material, where I started last year, a little mesh collection, which is Deborah wearing. I'm
sheer
wearing
mesh.
sheer mesh, which is easy to combine and wear underneath or on top. And so I had this much of leftover, and I was like, I can't throw this out. So I started making, of course, another accessory, kind of like a head, which I made totally long. You can see it, it's funny, but then it's nice to pull it in, right? And take this in. So you see how transparent it is, and then you play with it.
You can even tie fringe on there or ribbon and embellish.
Next part, I don't know, everything can be embellished. And so this is like another one I started here, and I don't know where this will go. So there's still time to figure out what to do.
Maybe it'll be a crown.
It's just a crown, or I put some fringes on
or
here.
Turn it down.
Or,
fold it down so it's crown-like, and then let the hair come out.
Like
there you go. It's always fun to incorporate the hair, especially when it's like this.
That's fun to play with it.
It's all about play. All of this has got to be low tech and high play.
You know,
really
if I want to add some bright color, I can crochet a line of a bright color in, and then you have a different look.
Yeah.
So it's all up to you in the moment.
Well, like you did on the blue hat, you have the pom-pom, but the pom-pom can be another color.
Exactly. So this one also can be another.
You could do, a bright pom-pom on the black hat.
Yes.
Of course, anything is possible with color and various textures.
I mean, actually, kind of just like this as a pom-pom.
Yeah, you could put the whole ball.
Put the whole thing on it.
Yeah.
As a pom-pom on this one.
Yeah. Exactly.
So you already have a new hat, and it's very authentic, very unique, and one of a kind.
Now, the one thing with making
put the glass back on, and of course we also can, knit simple things and embellish it a little bit. It was just a simple one. Just want to show it for showing it.
And with the finger knitting, of course, it's easy enough to start out with a ball that you create. But in weaving, we always do what's called bobbins. And I just love doing it. And of course, doing any of this, like cutting up the plastic bags or the fabric, is something you could do late at night just to relax and unfold. And then with making a bobbin, again, you start on the inside of the thumb.
Okay, now I was just looking.
And you come around the thumb and you make a figure 8. Thumb, pinky, thumb, pinky. So you see it's a figure 8, how it crisscrosses here. And you do that until you have a reasonable amount. And then the scissors are.
The scissors are here.
Okay. And then this is the important part. You cut it. And then with this final tail, that's what you're going to wrap around the center tightly enough so it stays, with then a simple slip knot. And then with the original tail, it's like a pull skein. So it stays in order, but as you work, it just unfolds, okay? So as a weaver, that was like one of the first things we learned to do. Right, Elka? If you're there, Elka, isn't that what we did in class 55 years ago when we studied weaving with you? So, and those are the kind of things that to me, it's almost like a dance. Those rituals and those processes are very physically satisfying, just like all of these hand techniques. And I think we all want to be makers because that's what, and my partner Stan always says, we're closest to creation when we create, The universe created us, and if we create back, we're closest to that source. And I'm sure all of you have experienced that is when you're making something, again, whether it's gardening, cooking, knitting, cutting, sewing, that you're totally relaxed, you're totally present. You know, it's a Zen thing. You don't have to sit on a pillow cross-legged in nature. You can just be home doing any of these things, and that's your meditation.
And be in the moment.
Be in the moment.
Be in the moment. Right.
So,
all right. So we have the dictionary. And we want to show you actually the dictionary you can download if you just go to my website, martinadietrich.com. I don't know, it's not possible to see it, I guess. This way, probably my name, Martina Dietrich Couture, but the website is just martinadietrich.com, and you can download either way. Also, you already registered yourself there, even like for the next one. So then you get the download and you print it out on both sides. You will figure it out how to print it out.
One sheet of paper. That
on one sheet of paper, both sides are coming out. So the way, actually, you will just fold it. Did you already fold it?
Yeah.
Okay, so fold it in half. And then fold it in half.
Cut it. No?
I cut it normally later.
Cut it later, okay.
Because then I have it together.
Okay, right.
So what I do now is kind of like starting to stitch it together with a red thread, whatever thread you have. And it starts
doing bookbinding.
Bookbinding always inside. Make the knot and make it inside, that you don't see it outside and you don't have it outside hanging. So you just go and I don't know if you can see it. I try to do it this way. And then you go stitch by stitch.
Up the middle.
Up the middle. Wait a second, I probably move around this way that you see stitching and another.
Just a running stitch, right?
Yes.
In, out.
Very simple. In and out. Big, small, as you feel like. There's no
You could even do it again with another color if you want.
Absolutely.
The binding to be more
And then the
interesting.
last one, I always go around that you have it on the corner. And then you make a little knot that you fix it. So you have a little knot here. And then I go inside again. And so I have it. I have to cut this. So, and then normally I cut it because then I don't have to deal with two slippery piece of paper. And then you just cut the top from one side. And then from this side. And here we go. You have your little
dictionary.
Dictionary, here we go. All pages are in order and everything is good.
And then there's even a blank page so you can make your own notes and have your own unique little dictionary that you can carry around and continue to
have
sustainability.
The dictionary. And you can also make some for your friends and just make them aware that they can do all those kind of things what we talked about, that it's so easy for everybody to just make it.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
All right, so
are there any questions?
There are any questions? I have not to look at this questions we have. Oh, hello, thank you from Prague. Hello, back from New York. I would love to hear if COVID has changed, impacted everyone's work life. I don't know, Deborah, you want to say some?
I'm a homebody. I spend a lot of time at home. I live in the West Village. it's made me more conscious of what is actually going on out there in the whole globe, and also really considering taking care of oneself with proper eating, cooking at home, which most of us have had to do, and exercise, whether it's Zoom or going out and walking where you can. And it has slowed things down, even though I live a pretty simple, yeah, you know, it's impacted on seeing friends and all that people are away. But work-wise, I mean, at the very beginning of COVID, I had no motivation or creativity to do anything. I just slept and took it all in. And then little by little things would show up like packing material. So that's what inspired me. I'd find something and begin to make something out of that. What about you, Martina?
Oh, in the beginning, it was kind of like, wow, what happened? And then I was in touch with a friend of mine. She worked as a nurse in the hospital, and she was asking me about masks. And I was like, in a second, I was going into my fabrics. And luckily, I'm working from home. I have my studio at home. And so I had access even to be able to do this. And this is also a future thing. I think it's important that we work and live together and have it from home, that we have access no matter what will happen outside, that we are able to work on things what we want to work on. And so I made masks as much I could, and I sent it just out to her, that people could be a little bit more protected, because there was not enough material, not enough masks for people working there on frontline. So I was just stitching mask, and I figured out how to do it and what to do, what is the best fit, because it needs to be fitted.
Kept perfecting them and perfecting
and, you know, step by step, more and more details and more work in. And so this was a big change, but then later on, I was just going into being more creative and making just new things out of like this kind of things, remaking new creative things out of a trouser. I made a dress. I added some sleeves to something where it was no sleeves, and just being essential, true to myself, and then also, of course, taking care about food, as Deborah said, food and what is essential for me personal, because it's not the answer in general, it's for everyone, is different. And in the moment when there was a minute, I walked over to meet Deborah in the park, and we were sitting social distancing on the bench, and we were just happy to see each other, both with the mask. And that was the big thing, the highlight of the day. And now we are back to sitting here on the sofa and being able to talk here. It's wonderful.
And our friend Marcia Carlin says, as she's sitting there listening to us, of course, she's knitting away and repurposing as she listens.
Wonderful. So any more questions?
I have a favorite quote by, I'll think of her name in a minute. If you're always trying to be normal, you'll never know how amazing you can be. So let's forget about being normal. You know, first of all, we live in a city like New York, so we have the opportunity to be unique. Maya Angelou, very, very delightful quote. I just love that quote.
Here we have more.
Judy Schwartz.
Wonderful. I can't see. Already I have you around and doing it. Thank you so much. Can you post the recording see again? Yes, we will post the recorded version definitely again, but about the technical things we will see later.
Be doing a book on this. Oh, Judy. Doing a book on this, or at least post some of these ideas. Thank you both. Okay. Well, we'll think about it, Judy.
Deborah, here, can you please show the starting stitches of the hand knitting again slower? We can, for sure.
Okay, so you start with a slip knot, and if you don't know how to make a slip knot, you can just do a regular
on the
overhand knot, okay, which is just making a loop, just so you have something anchored for the first finger, which is your thumb. Okay, around. You could maybe do a screenshot of this so you can see how it's all on the inside of the hand. And then, you know, the likelihood is you would want to do this, okay, on the outside of the thumb, but you want to come inside and come inside and come around. So you're going to the furthest side of the finger because you want to make a loop that's crossed over. You see how that's crossed over? All the way and have it cross over. All the way and have it cross over. Then
just the first row.
Right.
Yeah.
Then you pass it over because this is making the new loop. And the old loop gets passed over. The old loop gets passed. Okay, and then we start again. Always make sure you're on the inside of the palm, all the way to the far side of the thumb. And this is a big stitch, so every now and then you can crunch your hand so it's a little bit more, otherwise eventually it'll work itself out. So thumb, first finger, middle finger. Is that working for you? Is that any better? I should have checked to see if there's a YouTube on this, but I'm sure there is. Finger knitting or tubular knitting. And then you can see how it begins to make the tube. So you see each stitch wants to be crisscrossed so that otherwise if it's this, nothing's going to happen. So you have to go to the furthest side of the finger and cross it. So then it becomes a stitch. So that's the hardest thing, to remember to stay on the inside of the palm and you're going to the far side of the finger. Whoops, just lost that one.
All right.
Okay.
All right, so we have one more question. We have actually a lot of questions. What experience in your life made you think and be inspired to upcycle and think about sustainability? Daniela from Mexico. Thank you, Daniela from Mexico. So, Deborah, how you got inspired to upcycle?
Well, it started in the 60s when I was studying at UC Berkeley, and I wasn't interested in working with silk and other things that were absolutely beautiful. I was more interested in transformation. So I remember going down to KQED, which is the TV station, and asking them if they had any old videotape. I mean, this was 50 years ago when videotape was this thick for the TV. So I would use that, or I'd go to government surplus and I would get old spools of things, or things, you know, like this in large quantity. Or just, I'd go down to Fisherman's Wharf and I'd get rope that fishermen used, you know, sisal and things like that, that were very inexpensive, but very beautiful in their own way. Because again, I wasn't interested in luxury and working with silk. It was more about transformation. So that's how that all happened 55 years ago. And that, you know, and I, you know, people see me walking the streets, picking things up, because the things just speak to me. So I can't let them go. They become friends, whether it's found metal or pieces of wood, or, you know, these days with COVID, of course, I'm not touching anything. But in the old days, as people know, I'm known as Deborah Debris or Residue Rapaport.
Going around. So yeah, for me it was a little bit different because I started regular fashion school and studied 5 years in Germany and learning all the things, how you have to, you know, be as a fashion designer. And so after the finishing fashion design school, I went straight to Italy and I worked in a company in the industry, like a corporate company, and I was the head of the designer and was responsible of mass production, quick, and more. at a certain point after 5 years, I just quit. And I was like, I'm done. I can't do this. And I took a half a year off. I took a break because I could not deal with anything anymore. And in this half a year, my creativity came back. And then the first thing was, I'm gonna make one piece. I will not make a whole collection of thousands of pieces the same way, producing in Europe, in Romania, in wherever, or in India or in China. I'm like, no, I just make one and that's it. And everything started then with this one piece. I made kind of like several different pieces, and I made my first pop-up tour then to Germany. I folded the pieces in my little car. In this time I had a Mazda MX-5 convertible. There was no suitcase fitting in, so I folded it in the trunk. And I went there and I said, if anyone will buy one of these pieces, I keep on going and I will see where it goes. And it happened that people bought pieces from me directly. And I was like, okay, that's it. And since then, doing one of a kind and being always interested in being more creative and finding things more important as the plastic bags, the waste, and actually making one piece back in the days. It was not called sustainable because it was not even people giving attention to it. But over the years, it is sustainable. Just buy one good piece and use it as much you can, not just for this one picture. Use it, have fun, turn it around, use it again. And this is the most sustainable way, and use quality, and not just like this one piece, which you wash and it falls apart in many pieces.
And learn how to combine it with many other things, not make it as one outfit, but wear it in many different ways with many other different parts and embellishments.
Do we have more questions? Do we have more time? 3 minutes or something, I don't know.
3 minutes.
Of color, what video? The colors, what's you pick up?
Experience in your life made you think inspiring upside down with that. That's the one. It's this one down below about color, about
The color? Which one?
The one next down. Yeah, I can't see. This is.
Which one?
What do you think of the advent of home sewing?
Oh, sewing.
People creating their own clothing. There are many indie pattern designers making sewing clothing more accessible. Absolutely. I mean, again, it's one of a kind, sewing at home. Just yesterday, we met a young woman.
Sure.
She had an article in the New York Post. I can't. And she down on East Houston Street in Mulberry, she has an old coffee cart that's been set up as a sewing thing, and she does mending and she does one of a kind, and she's got 2 sewing machines and a serger and an ironing board, and she's there 3 evenings a week repairing and doing things. And she said, I would even do it for free because I love it so much.
So this is what it's all about loving it. And if you love to make your own garment, so then take the pattern, buy the pattern, whatever it is, the indie pattern, and start getting a use out of it. And then you just change the pattern as you want. You make the dress longer or shorter. Don't be afraid of making a mistake. There's no mistake.
Her name is Michaela Rai, W-R-A-Y, and she studied in Pittsburgh. But her Instagram is Pedal, P-E-D-A-L. I think it's like her, M-A-W, her initials, Pedal, M-A-W. And I don't know, she's like in her early 20s, and she's so vivacious and devoted.
Just fantastic to do it, and do it because you love it. This is the most important message we have to bring out in the world. Just do what you love to do.
Right.
You find it?
Pedal, yeah.
The pedal.
P-E-D-A-L, and then her, okay. And M-A-W, Pedal, Ma, M-A-W. Those are her initials.
Yeah.
I don't know.
All right.
You can't really see it.
Not really see. But, you know, everybody
Pedal.
can reach out to us and we give information. No big deal. So feel free to reach out even for more information.
And you'll see us next week and the
next
week
week.
after. So
Exactly.
same time, same place.
We're gonna see you guys next week and talk about more sustainable way of making new things. All right.
Anybody else?
Anybody else? We have more. We
Oh,
can keep on.
Merle is on there. Let's see what Merle said.
Wait,
Yeah, I can't see without my glasses.
oh, put the glasses
I
on.
know, but
We don't
I
either.
still can't see.
Merle,
hi ladies, thank you. Very uplifting. Makes me feel like we are really together. Yes. Well, we're all in this together. This is what this is all about. Let's just knot ourselves together and knit ourselves together.
Exactly.
And have a good time. And we can meet again on Zoom or in real life as soon as that's possible. Thank you all for joining us, and we hope to see you next week.
Thank you very much, and see you next week.